what are we going to stick a fork in? What are we going to tell you as the listener/viewer? You need to stick a fork in it. Bob and I have made lists of things that we see teams overdo, or they just keep doing for too long. Just they gotta get rid of it. Just stop. Just please move on with your life. You're holding yourself back. These are things that you and your team need to get that. Just yeah.
So it's
Bob,
anything
I almost dropped a bomb there.
anything on Agile, not
Yep.
just teams, anything in the Agile space.
Yep.
And this is you're overdoing it. So
Yeah.
stop the insanity and stick a fork in it and get the simple and
Yep.
and cook a turkey so you can stick a
Cook it
fork in the turkey
in the turkey.
or whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
So
All right.
so Metacasters, Josh and I
Yes.
have lists. Who do you? All
We
right,
do.
Josh. I'm going to flip a bottle cap. You
Okay.
heads or tails?
Which one's heads?
Oh, heads is the top of the bottle cap, the flat,
Okay. Okay. I just
and
want to
then this.
clarify. Oh, definitely heads.
Yeah. All right. You want heads? All right.
Yeah.
It's heads. You go
Okay.
first.
Perfect. Well, that means I get to pick. I'll go first. Okay, so the number one thing that actually I don't have these in order, so I shouldn't build it up like that. One of the things that I believe that people overdo too much is architecture. And
Ooh.
what I mean by that is I look at the architecture that they put together and I look at their customer base and their usage. And my first reaction is like, who are you fooling? Why do you have Kubernetes in there? You have like 35 customers and they each have, 4 or 5,000 records in there. Why have you gone to Kubernetes? Why did you put microservices in place? So people get excited about these technologies and they just drop them in without thinking, do we actually need that? The problems that solves, do they exist for us? And the answer so often is no. And then you turn around, someone like me ends up getting called in to help. And oh, guess what? The technology, the architecture is unmanageable. Why? Because you overdid it. You just like there's zero reason for some of these places to have all of these technologies and all these approaches when just simple would have done it.
There's a what is it? There's a guy who wrote an article. What's the name? 37 Signals is the company, I think, and they
Mm-hmm.
do backpack or something. And the co-founders have written articles. One of them is more technical in architecture, and he talked. I don't know the technology, but he talked about moving from the cloud to on premises as being cheaper, like
Mm-hmm.
much cheaper from a cost
I did see that. Yeah.
right perspective. And so I just thought that was interesting that, there's trends in architecture and people jump on the bandwagon and they don't necessarily think about, is it a good idea? What I thought was interesting about them is he made that decision and then he made it public, but he made it. A lot of times it's that sunk cost thinking in architecture. Well, we've sunk the cost in it, and so we can't rethink it. And he didn't get caught up in that at all. What was I going to say? I was going to say, Josh, yes. And I don't think companies should. I think when you're re architecting or architecting a new product, I don't know if your internal staff can handle everything. They're chasing shiny objects and things or old shiny objects. They may not be current. And they have a myopic view. Very often the architects in a company are the longest tenured people or something. And so what I'm trying to say is whenever you're doing architecture, not only are they overdoing it, but get them some help. Get like an outside voice that comes in or hire a real architect or something now that doesn't mean that person comes in and ignores your internal team. They need to co-create. They're going to co-create it, but you need someone, I think. Josh, you've done this maybe on occasion, but go get an outside voice. If I was younger and I was building a technology team, and we were building new products, I would do that. I would put my money where my mouth is. No matter how good the internal staff was, and no matter how much I thought I knew, I would still want to get some, sort of leveling expertise to really challenge us. What do you think, Josh?
100% agree. There's a um There's a coworker of mine that I worked with a long time ago that whenever I get into an instance where I am going to start building something personally, because I find joy in building stuff, and he's the first person I call. I reach out and I say, "Hey, Stu, so I want to build this thing, and here's about what I expected to do. Here's the kind of numbers that I expected to land as users and things like that. What technology would you use?" Again, because I know what I know, but I know Stu. So Stu's the guy that is always out there on the forefront, and he's a CTO now. Just like, hey, like here's how I would do it. Here's what I've done. Here's what I've tried. So always get that second opinion with those big choices. And I think the myopic view that Bob brought in is a really great point, because you know what you know, and you have this comfort zone
Right.
there. So you need to force yourself out of the comfort zone, but you have to be careful because the shiny object gets exciting, and we could do that, and that's a new thing, and yeah, we could prevent ourselves from ever having this problem again. But in reality, the problems we have aren't because of the technology choices, it's the architecture. So I have never been anywhere where the technology has actually failed. It's the implementation
Yeah.
that the people in that company have put in place with the technology that has become the issue. So there isn't really a bad choice you can make out there. You can make bad choices in how you get them up and running. So number one, simplify your architecture. It's easier to layer things on than it is to remove
Yeah.
crap or to deal with crap or to add on. So just keep it simple, keep it vanilla. Because you know what? I got news for you. You're not Facebook, you're not Twitter, you're
Ex-
not Google. You don't have these scale problems. You don't. Okay,
What's
Bob.
my first
No,
one?
okay.
These aren't in priority order. Is like overdone backlogs. So overdone meaning and in different dimensions. Overdone meaning overwritten. I still see that pattern where people are like using stories to write requirement specifications and things, and they're overdoing it. They're over processing it, and then they have too many items there, um, too many deep items. It creates chaos in backlog refinement. It creates chaos in planning. It's just too much. Uh, I think Josh, one of the things you were doing at the Dude, I believe you ran like a sliding window release plan, and I
Mhm.
don't think you planned months in ahead or 6 months ahead or anything like that. One excuse is, well, we're an enterprise level company, blah blah blah, and we have to align our budgets and we have to align our our trains and things. And I get it. There's a scaling issue. I still think it's a waste of time. Maybe just have an epic level backlog and be done with it beyond that. But it used to be an anti pattern. It's still an anti pattern. I think people like to. It's sort of like architecture. You like to polish architecture. You like to polish backlogs. There's a confusion. There may be a confusion that you're measuring value by the size of your backlog rather than the features you're releasing to your customers. Josh, any
Agreed.
thoughts?
I was just working with a company, and one of the things that I'm really big on is it is wasteful to have a fully refined backlog that goes more than 3 sprints out. And 3 sprints is, to me, the very end. But this company found comfort. One of the product leaders found comfort in, we are refined 6 sprints out.
Ugh.
What happened? And actually, one of the dev leaders reached out via Slack and was just asking some questions, because what they've seen is, we sized and refined those 6 sprints ago. So 12 weeks ago, a quarter ago, they sized those, and they just blindly went with what they decided and discovered the sizing and definition in AC was a quarter ago, and just dropped that in the sprint. And they felt comfortable and happy. But in reality, it was not good, because they had learned in those 3 months and realized once they started working on it, we should actually do this differently. Well, we've learned the AC should have been different. So you you can deal with that by like re-refining things, but again, that's wasteful. So there's a ton of effort and energy that people spend in trying to like always like super polish this like stone and hope that it's going to turn into something that it's not. Again, don't try and make your backlog this gleaming string of diamonds. Just have, a handful of really well polished rocks that are ready to go. You don't have to, you're just wasting effort and energy. And all of that stuff that you hear, I see a lot lately about Scrum and Agile, and it's just meetings and meetings and meetings and meetings. And a lot of it is all of this waste, and you end up
Yeah.
redoing a lot of that work. So
Yeah.
stop creating waste for yourself, enable the team to run with the work that they have, and just get comfortable with the reality of you're wasting effort and energy if you're trying to extend your backlog further into the future to give yourself comfort. You're lying to yourself. You're fooling yourself. It's not going to work out like that.
Yep. I'm just going to land that one,
Mm-hmm.
emphasizing what Josh said. We just want to flush the waste. All
Wow,
right.
man,
All right.
you are rolling. Okay.
Josh?
Yeah. Okay. I have something that's kind of the opposite. So I want to make sure that we, coming out of this one, Bob, hopefully you and I can give people that Goldilocks answer. And we've done a little bit of it here, but what I see too often is I see very high expectations with minimal clarity, minimal context. And I see this a lot on product development side, or there's a lack of a product strategy, or the team doesn't understand the strategy that the company has of how they expect to win in market. They don't know how the product is going to separate itself from competitors. So people are just doing things, and again, they feel good. Oh, if we have these epics, if we're doing work, we're gonna just win. And again, that's wasteful. Yes, you're doing things. That's what, I talk to leaders all of the time, and I say, here's the product strategy that you have right now. We're just doing shit, and you're hoping something sticks, as opposed to really digging in, understanding what your strategic direction should be. And then it's like, oh well, why is the team not getting, what's happening? Why aren't we why aren't we why is our customer satisfaction going down? What's happening? And it's starts at the top, and a lack of clear product strategy, or a lack of context and clarity that's provided to the team that needs to execute against that.
So I'm trying to bring it back to what's overdone. So it sounds like what's overdone is uh, is is hand waving. Is that what you're saying? So like sort of,
It's
yeah.
yeah, it's that, and we're agile. We don't have to have that clarity,
Because
and we
okay,
can
got it.
just kind of be willy-nilly. We don't have to have
I would
that true clarity of who we are and who we're going to be and how we're going to win. We just do shit, right?
it,
Which is why I call it that. And
I
then the expectation that all of a sudden you're going to have this amazing product and just be crushing all the competition.
it amazes me sometimes. To me, that's a leadership thing,
Yes.
and it amazes me sometimes. You have these people that are in leadership roles, and what they emphasize is sort of management, like the yelling, the screaming, the telling. Uh, but what you're talking about, like vision and strategy and that's the essence of leadership. So here you have
Yeah.
all these folks that have a leadership title, and if you put it in two baskets, there's the basket of like bullshit leadership, and then or whatever, but it feels like you're leading but you're not. And then the real, to me, the real leadership, like setting a vision, right, talking to customers, making hard decisions, clarity, 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 talk. Don't, people aren't doing that at
Yep.
all. It's just it just amazes me. So I agree. It's a huge, it's, we need to stick a fork in that, and leaders, to me, leaders need to step up. And we've talked about that a lot. That's a
Yeah.
focus of the Metacast, but we're not going to stop. Just like Josh and I have said, a good leader needs to say it over and over again until it sticks, Metacasters. And trust me, we're that opens the door for us to be saying this for the rest of our natural lives. So
Yes.
leaders
Indeed.
all right, mine is coaches, agile coaches need to stop asking questions. I am sick and tired, right? Powerful questions. Your client's looking for help. Well, why do you want that? Uh, what what do you think, the alignment of the stars has to do with that architectural decision? I'm just role modeling classic. I'm being a smartass, I guess, but coaches are asking too. We agile coaches stop asking questions and start doing other useful stuff. Partnering with your clients, providing advice, getting skin in the game, etc. It's just and there's too much of that, and it's giving all of us who don't do that a bad name. Damn it! So stop.
Well, let me pile on because my fourth item, which I'm just going to bring forward, and we'll do a two for one here. The thing that we need that we're overdoing is just agile coaches. There's just too many agile coaches, which creates substandard agile coaching. And what
Wait,
I've
hold it,
seen
Josh.
is,
Hold it,
ooh,
Josh. Hold it.
oh,
What do you mean by that?
I'll tell you what I
And
mean,
how
Bob.
does that make you feel?
I'll tell you how it makes me feel, Bob. What I mean by that is those questions, those situations, that's when you as a coach need to step in and provide that clarity and direction and suggestion. Maybe not hit them on the head with a hammer, but steer them in the right direction, not asking questions. I found that the asking questions model, at times there's points and times when I use that, but very intentionally. What I found is that for agile coaches that don't have the, as Bob would say, the chops, that's defense mechanism number one of, oh, I'm not sure how to help this team navigate out, or I'm stuck. What do I do? Let me just start asking questions, and then maybe we'll land somewhere.
Oh,
And so, how that makes me feel, Bob, that makes me feel frustrated and angry
yeah.
because we're not doing a job. That label that so many well-intentioned people have, and those people that are asking those questions that are doing exactly this, yes, they're well-intentioned. They're not bad people. They're not trying to do anything, but it's the everybody's an agile coach. No, you're not.
You're not.
It's like me. I was a baseball coach for my kid. I quickly needed to get out of doing that. I was there to just be like the cheerleader, and that was the extent of what I could do. I was not a real coach. So, same thing. If you don't have the experience, you don't have that knowledge, recognize that, hey, maybe I should stop calling myself a coach and just move on and let somebody else that has that knowledge and experience run with it.
Right.
Okay, Bob, I feel like I'm going to jump down from that soapbox.
I'm with you. It would be like everyone's a brain surgeon. You look on LinkedIn, there's there's a billion brain surgeons in the planet. Does that make sense? Nope. And you are they all equal? Nope. Do you want to find a real one? I do, because I have very little. It's a very micro operation, so I have to. So I need someone with good vision that can do that. Who goes next? Do I go next? Overdone.
I can go next because I just piled on top of yours, so I kind of
Okay.
cheated.
All right. That's
Um,
okay. Go next.
okay, so one of the things that I see everywhere is JIRA customization.
Ah,
I actually make rules of we are not customizing JIRA. We are not using custom fields. We're not adding anything. JIRA is just fine. We don't, again, who do you think you are? Why do you think you need all these other things that everybody else doesn't? And so then it just becomes this complex web, this total mess, and everybody hates JIRA when, again, in reality, JIRA is not the problem. It's the implementation of JIRA.
yep.
We over architected JIRA or whatever tool, insert whatever tool it is, but people over architect JIRA, and it is painful. And just I've seen companies that have these magic people that know how to build filters, and they're like the only people that know how to do it, that know the magic combination of filters to build to get stories to show up in a backlog.
Yep.
Like, why? What are you getting out of that? And it's so often is blamed on a need for metrics. Oh well, we got to be able to track that. We got to know that. We got to be able to show how many of these we're doing and how many of this happened and blah 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 blah. And they add all that stuff, and then guess what? They can't get the numbers back out, and now they can't even use the tool for what it was intended to do.
Yep. It's a control thing. I think I've seen it. I mean, JIRA before it was an agile tool was a defect tracking tool, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
It started out as defect tracking. And one of the foibles of defect tracking systems is there was the default workflow. And then weird people like me or managers, we started changing the workflows and adding complexity and adding more complexity to it. And the same thing's happening in Jira. So it's metrics as one driver. I actually think too, Josh, it's just trying to control people. It's like I mean, Jira controls the workflow of a team, uh, and so you're trying to. It's like a control freak. I would buy that. That's an old tendency. Like a lot of tools, you see that happening. It's not just a. You said it. Any base tool, and then you throw humans in it, and these aren't the team. I don't think the team humans want more Jira. I think
no, yeah,
it's the surrounding humans, the project managers, the managers,
it's all the chickens.
it's all the chickens, and they're not even. It's yeah, it's not the team. So I buy that. That's an insidious thing. I've seen Scrum Masters buy into that because they're trying to
Oh
control.
yes,
Right? It's not. You think they wouldn't do that, but Scrum Masters do that. Product owners do that. So it does assimilate the team to some degree.
Bob. One of the things that we've talked about in this episode is a lack of clarity and context, and I'm doing something about it. So my first live online training course, you can sign up for it now. Yeah, Bob. Not only am I writing a book, which we'll talk about some other time, but I have an online course that's
Did you?
kicking off the first cohort in July, all about product planning.
Holy crap! Holy, or
Yeah,
what is it? Wild Aardvarks Batman. What is going on? And I'm
yeah.
Metacasters, whoever's listening. It's not. Josh has so I've talked to him and harped on him for years,
Decades.
saying you've got wisdom and you need to share that with other people. So the good news is finally he's here, the Joshua Anderson guides. And I'm
Yes.
and I'm not joking. The only reason I'm snarky is like, my gosh, it finally. So I'm looking forward to it. When does it start?
The first cohort starts July 10th. It's called the Ultimate Guide to Product Planning. So I took, I've been labeled the product guy here on the Metacast. So I packaged up everything I've done, tried, learned into a 3-week course where I walk you through this is how I package up product. We talked already in this episode about what's good enough as far as
Yep.
planning. We really invest in that in the various layers so that you can have command of the plan and you have clarity on what you're actually doing. And oh, by the way, you can provide that clarity to the entire organization so everybody knows what's happening instead of being caught off guard or not having an idea and being out in front and actually winning that race against your competition. I am super excited about it. I can't wait.
Metacasters, go
Yeah.
learn from Josh.
Yes. The link will be in the description. So here we go. Back to the episode. All right, Bob.
I've been on blood pressure medication for a long time, and I think it's accumulated in my body enough so that I can actually say this word without me exploding metacasters and dying right in front of you. Safe. Safe. It's over freaking done. I am tired of it, right? It was a cash machine. How many levels in the latest drawing? 6, right? When does it stop? When does it end? It's and there's no integrity in the safers. They borrow crap from everywhere else and then they shove it into the toolkit. Oh, we're going to get value streams. That wasn't a unique idea. Show me the unique ideas in Save as opposed to ideas that they're packaging. So I've ranted about Save. Now, the one positive thing, Josh, in the Business Agility Institute did a survey, And one of the survey items was scaling frameworks, and SAFe took a 10-point dive year over year. I went out and I lit off fireworks, Betacasters. I hope the damn thing dies a slow death. So maybe that was a little strong. Josh, what do you say? So SAFe, stick a fork in it.
Yeah, safe is your prototypical over architecture,
Oh my,
over engineered
yep,
solution to something that could be solved with a very simple application of the basics. Not only is that a problem, but again, we go back to when we kicked this off, we talked about architecture and the comment I made about who are you fooling? Who are you fooling about the complexity and scale that you and your team has? You don't you don't need all of this scaling mechanism. You're like 5, 6, 7 teams. Even if you're 10, 15, 20, you don't like that's
yep,
again, what's the simplest way to solve this problem? And if you just look at I think the last poster or whatever I saw was version 6, and I remember whatever the previous versions, and I would be interested that if you were to chart the number of objects per version of safe on a chart, it would be not a linear growth, it would be exponential growth of the number of steps and things that you need to implement and keep track of and do all that stuff. So again, that is just like you are customizing JIRA. Again, you are creating in an attempt to create this false sense of control, much like we talked about with the backlogs, where it makes you feel better. You feel like, oh, we have this thing in our back pocket. Oh, we're protected because we have this thing. Actually, the opposite is true. You've made it worse. You've made it harder. And the actual value you're going to deliver to your customers is reduced drastically because you're spending so much time on all this other crap.
yep. Cool. Next
Okay.
one for you, Josh.
This is my last real one. I do have a cheap shot at Bob, but maybe I won't use that one. The last real one, and it's weird. I'm going to try and explain it. So the thing that we need to stop overdoing, we need to stick a fork in it, is change. We have so many places that I've been architecturally, process wise, or whatever, where instead of having, again, we go back to that strategy, that clarity, that vision and mission of who we are, instead of knowing who we are and how we're going to operate and trying to operate in a minimal manner, in a reducing waste, trying to be lean, we're going to do this. Oh no, that didn't work. So now let's layer this on top. Oh gosh, that's hard. Maybe we shouldn't do that because it's hard. Let's do this next thing. And so you get this tail wagging the dog type of situation where we're trying to find this silver bullet and there are no silver bullets, and the team is constantly going through change of how they do work, what they're expected to share and create and promote and do all this. And there's just people can't do their job because they're too busy being back on their heels trying to figure out, oh, that thing that we're being asked to do. How am I supposed to do that again? What? Oh, okay. So we have this new form, we have this new thing. Oh, we have this new custom field in JIRA, but there's another one that looks just like it in JIRA. Which one do I use? So it's again that overall lack of clarity, but that change management just crushes people, and so people end up just wanting to give up. So stop not having an identity and just constantly changing with the processes that you put in place for you and your teams.
I mean, I can say yes, and I mean, change fatigue. Any change, teams. One of the side effects, the negative side effects of agile ways of working in application, the way companies adopt it, is I think they're over change zealous. They're change zealous, and it's really rippling into the teams, and it's insidious because agile is change friendly. I've always thought of it as being change friendly, but you can overwhelm the system because it's the humans that can't keep up with the rate of change. And it's not just tooling change, it's technology change, it's process change, working change, even
Or just
evolution.
team changes.
Yeah, Yeah, team changes, changing offices, growth change. So there's not, as leaders, not being cognizant of the change landscape and sticking, metering that. Maybe that's the thing is stop the change and meter it and be much more thoughtful about it. We're not anti-change, maybe pro-thoughtful change, right? Pro-metered change. So the organization has to be able to handle it. Otherwise, you're slowing down, right? You're slowing down and you're probably losing good people, etc. I have two more, Josh.
Okay.
One I can make fast. Metacasters. I'm going to use the C word. Certifications.
Oh, should have seen that coming.
Um, I think, methinks, that there might be over 300. No, there is. I guarantee you there's over 300 Agile certifications, unique Agile certifications in the world. I think it's probably over 400. I'm almost positive. Uh, so,
Wow.
so, so over 400 certifications. When does it stop? What is good enough? Now, I think we could boil it down into one certification, the Metacast cert. Ooh,
I
Josh, I'm
agree.
I'm thinking of a product here, a product idea.
We should, I think, if there's 400, let's make it 401. Let's
401.
just let's
Add
just add on to the
add
pile.
on add on to the pile. The steaming pile. So I'm
Yes.
just going to leave it there. There's just way
I
too many certs.
agree. I agree. Okay,
Uh,
so I don't
final.
have another
I
one.
have a
So
final.
let's go to your last one.
Final
Yeah. Okay.
final one.
Okay.
I'm getting really sick of team members, teams. So non-leaders dissing leaders in agile contexts, uh, complaining about leaders, vilifying leaders, whining about leaders, uh, dehumanizing leaders, not having empathy for leaders. Thinking I was on a call the other day, and folks are like, "Oh, the leaders think they have it tough. The teams have it tough." Right. Leaders have it so much easier. There was this view that, oh, if you're a leader, you're in the bar during the day. There's dancers coming in, right? You're flying you're flying a model plane or whatever you're doing, playing games, smoking a cigar. No, no, leaders work. Leaders are. Josh knows this. Leaders are under pressure. I'm we need to stop. Team members need to now. I know what's happening. There's bad leaders and folks are really triggering by them. I get that. But do you think that's helping the situation by triggering rather than like I think it's actually worsening the situation. Stop disrespecting leaders. It's tough up there. And someone was like, "Oh, do you realize that every leader has a leader?" Right? Every leader has a leader, and usually those leaders suck too. If the leader, so they're in a sandwich. Every leader is in this wonderful sandwich. So give them a break. Treat them with grace. Meet them, partner with them, etc. So there's too much whining.
I agree. And I just had a discussion with my daughter yesterday who is a young artist and she is very passionate about it and constantly creating new pieces of artwork. So she's found her thing that gives her passion and joy. And she's just creating, which I love because I've been preaching be a creator versus a consumer since she was just a little baby. So she's really latched onto that. So that's super exciting to see. But what she's running into is there are people and she does a lot on social media. So she has a new piece of artwork. She does time lapses of her doing all of the artwork, all of this stuff. And she gets the little yippity yappity people that like, oh, well, you should do it like this, or oh, why are you doing that? Blah, 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 blah. And I said, listen, when you're out there, when you're leading, when you're creating, it is no different than a football player or somebody that's out there and they are in the field, they're in the arena doing the thing, and there's 70,000 people in the stands watching, and they all have something to say. But guess what? They're not out there. They aren't the ones, extending themselves, trying to do that something different and unique, and then that have all those people in there. Like it is easy to sit on the sidelines, to sit in the upper deck and say, Like, oh, you should have done this. Oh, why didn't you do that? Or, oh, I could have done that better. Like, okay, cool. If you could have done that better, then let's get in the ring and let's try and drive some change. Then let's try and make things better. Don't just sit there and complain. Get in, help, do something.
Yep.
Okay, so to wrap this up, as I was just summarizing all of the things in my brain, trying to think about how we can stick a fork in the episode, the common thread that I believe to be true across all of these is a symptom that I see many places. It is an unwillingness by people to engage their brains. They don't want to do the hard work. They don't want to be engaged. They don't want to have to be a leader and make a decision that might be wrong. So I'm just going to take the easy way out, and I'm just going to do this, or I'm going to just, there's a, like, you have something packaged and I don't have to think about this. If I just install safe, I'm fine. Or, if we just refine the backlog forever, then me as a product manager, I've done my job and I can like stand up with my chest puffed out and be like, I did it, instead of thinking, did we refine the right things? Did we have we wasted time? All those things. So it's all a lack of willingness to continually have your brain engaged to making the hard, difficult decisions. So that's what I believe to be the common thread. So if you feel like you're doing that, or actually everybody hit the pause button, stop and think about the past week and think about the times where you have maybe not, intentionally, maybe didn't intend to do this, but I guarantee there are times where you said, oh, I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to go with this. I'm going to go with the prepackaged solution that's ready and I can just apply and I don't have to think about it. That's the issue.
You know what, Josh? I think every ounce of my being wanted to disagree with you, but I think you're right. Because the thinking is it's hard and it's risky, right? And it requires thoughtfulness. Some people are wired. I've become wired that way. I don't know if when it happened is over time, but I, I'm continuously thinking about things and improvement and stuff like that. I think you do that as well. But I think it's complacency. Maybe there's a variety of factors: fear, uncertainty, complacency, etc. And it's a leader thing. I'm glad we brought it back to leadership and our major theme here. So I'm on board with that. So Metacasters, challenge yourself, engage your brain. I think I used to say when I was working with a process, uh, a software development process, that I would check, and I literally almost felt this way. I checked my brain at the door as a developer, and I followed the process, the rational unified process. And at 5 o'clock, when the whistle blew, I was like the hound dog with the and the coyote. All right, if you've ever seen those cartoons, then I left. I grabbed my brain and I put it back in my head, because then I didn't have a process to tell me how to go home or how to be a dad, and that's happening a lot. That's still happening a lot. Safe has that side effect, but leaders, let's think. Become thinking leaders and learning leaders. All right. So I think we've landed. I think we've stuck a fork in it. And I just rambled, Josh, from beautiful downtown Cary, North Carolina.
And beautiful downtown Fuquay Varina, North Carolina.
I'm Bob Galen.
And I'm Josh Anderson.
Shake.
And bake.
Take care, y'all.
Well, you made it this far. That's great news. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. Maybe even the subscribe button. That'll help us reach more people. We can't make it happen without you. Thanks, and we'll see you next episode.